I am Kurt. I play guitar and I sing.
And I am Dave, and I play drums. And I sing sometimes, but not that often.
I'm Chris, and I play bass, and I don't sing, thank God. But I just sing on the record.
Yeah, Chris sings on the record.
Yeah, he does.
You'll hear it.
Is it
You'll
his
hear
vocal
debut.
Debut.
Vocal debut.
Vocal debut. Doing the butt.
It was beautiful.
It was
nice.
great. It was cool. I mean, playing outside on a nice day it was fun. The weather was good.
The weather's beautiful. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's drinking alcohol and doing green drugs since it's such a green country. It's beautiful. We're all big pessimists with bad attitudes walking around, and
It's pretty much exactly what we expected.
Yeah.
You know, a sea of people, everyone drunk, having a great time, and playing with bands that we'd played with before, so it wasn't really that surprising, you know. But it was fun. Can't deny that.
Well, I mean, we didn't really get to do much. I mean, we saw some of the bands that played before us, saw a band called Babes in Toyland play. I don't know. I mean, it's just cool playing a show where you can also see a lot of the bands that you really love play. But at the same time, it's sort of bad because you have to do so much stuff, you know. It's like today's been a really busy day for us, so we haven't been able to see all this stuff. You know, I mean, I was born in 1969, and it just...
it's nice to see all these people coming together.
Yeah.
There's no fights or anything, and people are just having a good time.
We'd rather be here than Woodstock.
I'd rather be here than... apart from ourselves.
Oh, well. Babes in Toyland, definitely.
I don't think I liked anybody but us. I think I only liked us today.
You only like yourself.
I only like myself.
Me, myself, and I.
Me, myself, and I. My favorite band. You know what? Did you see Eugene from the Vaselines on Captain America? He did a guest spot. He did a Molly's Lips with us. It was beautiful.
We'll be there at the end of this year.
Tell me more about this.
I don't know anything else about it other than we want to go.
About Japan?
Yeah.
What's about these drift nets? But we can't talk, and our countries are big bombers. Anyway, I know Japan. Good electronics. I've owned a Toyota for the past 3 years and have put on about 30,000 trouble-free miles on it. Shonen Knife, Japanese band.
Shonen Knife?
Yeah, do you know about the band Shonen Knife?
Shonen Knife are the best band in the world.
They're from
So if you're
Japan.
in Japan and you get to see them, you should see them.
Shonen Knife.
They're the best.
They're the best.
Have you heard of Shonen Knife? They're wonderful. You will hear of them soon. You will.
You will.
The whole world will. Beware of the Shonen Knife.
And beware of the Shonen Knife.
Hello, Japan. My special message to you, you island people over there on the Pacific Ocean. Hang loose, don't get too uptight, and quit your jobs. Grow marijuana.
Slack off.
Slack off. Don't work.
I'm Dave and I play drums.
I'm Kurt and I play guitar and I sing.
And I'm Chris and I play bass guitar.
We don't know where we're at.
You're at the Hard and Heavy office.
Okay.
These songs about lazy teenagers and apathy are just, nobody cares about anything anymore. So,
You feel that's true?
yeah, nobody cares. You
That's pretty
know,
obvious.
more people smoke marijuana in the United States than voted for George Bush. Think about it. It's that feeling of getting on stage and playing to the people, you know, really.
Kind of like the Bette Midler and the Rose vibe.
Yeah.
You know how you can just relate with the audience?
You connect. There's definitely this spiritual.
Like, see, energy comes out of the outlets into our amplifiers. And then
And we
the energy
feed
comes out of
off of-
us, and it goes into the audience, and they bounce it back, and we just play catch with some vibes. You know?
with vibes.
Wow.
Growing up in Aberdeen, Washington, there was a lot of logs
And trees.
and a lot of trees.
Well,
and a lot
trees
of,
came before logs, right?
and a lot of trees getting cut down, and there's a lot of people whose lives revolved around trees getting cut down. And then now the trees are all gone, and they want to go after the last trees, and so there's some angry people there. We just had like a little scene there. Like we
Just a
discovered,
group of friends.
we discovered punk
beatniks.
rock. Yeah, we were like,
Like redneck beatniks, though, kind of. Beatniks with flannel shirts.
we haven't worked for 2 years. And I encourage anybody not to work.
Working can wait.
I say slack off, because you're only going to be alive for 70 years if you're lucky, right? And we just contribute to this sick materialistic society, so slack off. Big deal. You know? Have fun. Smoke pot. Drink beer, booze, inhale, and take.
Get each other pregnant.
Yeah. No, don't get pregnant.
Reproduce.
Don't reproduce.
What would be a good scam? Let's
Clench.
say kids out there are taking your advice. Give them a hint on a good scam to get
Bust into a
Sell
car,
the
get a
food
radio, pawn it.
Learn to play pool real well.
Yeah, learn to play pool, hustle on the street, learn to play cards. Pedal the ass that God gave you. Buy nitrous.
Oh, you know what my pet peeve is? People standing on escalators.
Oh, God.
And that is a testimony to human laziness. I mean, the guy who invented the escalator is just probably
But you're
kicking
supposed
himself
to
in the
stand
ass.
to the side, the
Right.
right side, so that people can walk up on the left side.
You think that the guy made an escalator so people, and it's made like stairs, just so people stand on it, so you go up and down. You're supposed to walk on them, so you get there faster. You know? And then people stand on there. So every time I'm on an escalator, I'm just like, excuse me, pardon me, excuse me, pardon me. You know? That's my pet peeve right there. And I'm going to do something about it. And I'm urging you to do something about it. Write your congressman, get a group together, and I think we could do something about this. Oh, where do we start? We were in this van driving around, loving and living off the land.
Me and you and a dog named Boo. Touring our butts off, starving, playing shows, supporting the record for the last 2 years.
So that was actually a really incredibly big seller for an independent record, wasn't it?
Well,
Punk rock gold.
it was a steady seller. I mean, it wasn't really. It just took a course of 2 years to sell.
We're no Fugazi.
Yeah.
You're no John Kennedy.
I've always loved the Beatles and stuff like that too, you know. Especially the Beatles. A lot of the other like rip-off bands of the Beatles, like the Hollies and Herman's Hermits, don't really count. I've never gotten into that, but I like that old 60s pop kind of sound.
What about the Knack?
Love the Knack. The Knack
There's
is
a good
great.
Holly song.
First
right?
Knack record is
And
classic.
then they started molesting children.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But it's just the 3-minute pop song with, like, you know, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. You know, it's just so, if it's done right, it's just so beautiful. It's so, you know, right on.
Love? I don't really consider most of the songs love songs, really. I mean, I think most of the songs are just confusion, you know, which is related to love or confusion. I don't know. It isn't really just about love or you know, it's just dealing with the problems that arise in relationships.
So now that you guys are on Geffen, has the sort of predictable indie heroes sell out to a major label backlash hit you yet?
No, nobody's
We
really.
hope so.
We hope so.
Do we?
I don't know. No, nobody's really giving us any shit yet. Well, if they do, so what?
It's really boring having people ask every interview, what's it like being on a major label?
Yeah, but well, it's an understandable question, though.
That's
They
true.
have to ask it, right?
Do you feel like there's any difference for you guys, or is it just
Yeah, I feel a difference.
What do you feel?
Well, oh yeah, it's kind of like LSD or something. It's like it has to be experienced. You can't really describe it.
I don't feel much difference myself, really.
Every time I walk into DGC offices, it looks like I'm looking through a kaleidoscope. And there's all these like, everybody speaks in echo voices. Wow, 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 wow. I'm like, wow, man.
I wish I was in the indie world
And I
again.
thought I was in there for an hour, and 14 hours I was in there just tripping because there's all these hallways and stuff. And
Yeah.
these
felt like a mouse in
pterodactyls
a
were
trap.
swerping down at me. Ah! And David Geffen melted before my eyes, man. I'm like, whoa. And then I step outside, and it was just, Sunset Boulevard. I came down.
Seeing the whiskey just made reality come right down.
Yeah, whiskey's reality.
They leave you guys pretty much alone just to do what you do, or do they like call up and go, "Where's the hit?" or any of that stuff?
No, they know better than that. Yeah. They don't know not to mess with us.
Yeah, they know better.
You piss me off. Are you razzing me? Are you fucking razzing me? Anyway, I don't know. Dennis Hopper, he does it a lot better than I do.
Dennis Hopper's our manager. So. Well, it was all pretty much spontaneous. As we recorded every song, we just screwed around with the EQs and the dials on the amps.
We had about 3 guitar amps in there, some old Fender amps, and then about 3 or 4 guitars. And it's just nice to have a mixed bag of songs, and it just makes a record so much more. Like, instead of just all the way through the same tempo, same song, just try to, since the song, we just try to make the sounds go with the song, because each song is its own trip, People don't care anymore, so why should I care? Or is that's the same thing, right?
Do you think there's any sort of way to combat that, or have you guys yourselves given up?
Yeah, I think being nihilistic and cynical about things is like a self-defense mechanism, because I was really freaked out for a long time why people are nobody cares, or why people are just so silly, and they're just stupid.
There are plenty of things that we do that contribute to fighting the man, fucking with the system. I don't know. There's a few things that we can't even talk about because they're illegal. So, but there are plenty of things to do. There are a lot of things to do. Xeroxes. Just make up a statement of what you feel about society and put Xeroxes all over cars, or there's a lot of organizations you can get into. Mm-hmm. All kinds of things.
First things first, I guess I read the first page of your bio, and you're talking about punk rock. Now, are Nirvana still a punk band?
Well, I like biorhythm machines, and I put my hand in one, and it was a pretty punk readout. It cut my hand.
He said, "Lord, you're so punk."
Well, no, but I mean, does that term still apply to you guys, though? Or have you?
So I don't think we've ever been labeled as punk rock in the first place. We just played in the underground circuit. We like punk rock more than any other style of music. So, yeah, we're punk rock.
Well, I think everybody was sort of into punk rock before the band really evolved anyway.
We were a band.
So it's definitely everyone was sort of bred on the punk thing.
Okay. Now I'm sure you dislike labels, but then where do you see that your music fits in?
In rock and roll.
But isn't it this
pretty wide?
I think what did they call it before, the sub pop sound?
Oh, the sub pop sound.
That's right.
Yeah.
Grunge.
Seattle.
I can't decide.
Seattle sub pop grunge.
Okay, but see, the sub pop thing wouldn't apply anymore, though.
Why not? There's still a label.
You guys aren't on sub pop.
Well,
So
We're DGC rock now. We're DGC hardcore.
DGC hardcore.
You found the
Right.
And MCA in Europe and Canada.
Right.
We're MCA.
We're
punk.
MCA here too.
We're MCA.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, now again, like I realize you guys dislike the labels, but I mean it's still a case of, no, we love DGC.
What, music labels are labels the way people label people of race, creed, or color, national origin. Brother, we're all here on this floating sphere through space.
Okay, but this is a little bit different though, because I think to a certain extent, people that are out there want to know because it helps them decide whether they like it or not, right? I mean, yeah, that's not necessarily a category thing, but it's still like.
Well, we like to say that we're the Black Sabbath molesting the Bay City Rollers, or the Knack, maybe.
Okay, well that was something else.
No one would like us at all.
That would be something else I wanted to ask you guys about. Now, you mentioned the Knack and the Bay City Rollers. Are there aspects of those bands in your music, and where are they?
Fashion-wise, it's Bay City Rollers all the way.
Yeah. We don't have any plaid on now, but you just wait till we go on.
There's going to be this inverted plaid cross. Just going to be with Ozzy Osbourne with a woody shag cut crucified on it.
Okay, now were you guys fans of those bands? Seriously?
No.
Well, I like that.
I despised the Bay City Rollers when I was 9. I mean, my sister liked them, but I didn't.
I bought the Saturday Night single.
But I like them now. I have all their albums.
You like them now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I guess you guys also talked about how you're a pop band, and yet I wonder how many people would really describe you in that way.
Well, a lot of people do, just because the songs are, they may be really heavy, but they have some sort of melody to them. I mean, they're like poppy songs, but we're not like a pop band, but I don't know what I'm saying.
Papa don't preach.
Papa don't preach.
Pop music.
Pop music.
Yeah.
Okay, now how do you feel though about the crossover into the metal market?
That's fine. Fine. Yeah. Well, maybe we could. A few of those kids, they could go from worshiping Satan to being studious and alternative. And some of the alternative people could be like smoking pot on their Camaro hoods of their Camaros.
It'll be a
Camaro
trade-off.
hoods. It'll be a trade-off, yeah. It'll be joint forces. Unite all potheads and bookworms. Come together.
Okay, now
That's our rally cry of our revolution.
Get off that soapbox.
Now one of the things I was reading though, you were being interviewed in a metal magazine, and one of the members of the band wasn't very happy about that.
Who said that? Who said that?
I didn't do it.
Is that a pubic hair?
I didn't do it.
Ugh. It's curly and crinky. Oh, I don't know. Where did you get that? Who sent you?
What planet are you from?
Are we going to be able to get anything out of this interview?
Oh, we are. We're talking.
This is no front.
This is no front.
Hey man, we ain't fun.
We are. Well, I don't know. A lot of heavy metal is I don't really care for a lot of heavy metal. You know what I mean? A lot of it's just kind of, but I mean, to each their own, right?
Okay, but then I guess the fact that you're then appealing to that market, or you're having the fans of those bands come out to see you guys, that doesn't bother you, or that's something you'd like to happen?
Oh, we'd like for that to happen. Sure, people could come in and check our band out. And why not?
Well,
it's not like we're against.
If the people come and like the music, then that's fine.
I remember-
If they come and think we're a heavy metal band,
I remember one time I went to this show in Olympia, and the Melvins opened for this like heavy metal band, and all the punk rockers and stuff. The metal people just gave the Melvins a bunch of pahooey. And then when the metal band came out, the punk rockers who came for the Melvins, they got into the metal band, but it seemed like the metal people kind of freaked out. They were weird. I don't know what it was. Maybe
That was
something
quite
they
a few
ate.
years ago too.
Yeah. Now there's
Now
crossover.
that Metallica are wearing Misfits t-shirts, I think it's had a big impact on metal.
James Hetfield gave the legions of rockers the okay to like punk rock, so it must be okay now.
Okay. Now, being on a bigger label, are you guys involved? There must be meetings about marketing and stuff like that. Do you guys have any say about that stuff, or is it just something that you just leave up to the label?
We have final say, but we don't go to the meetings.
Yeah, they're
So-
really boring.
You can imagine it's like going back to school,
Yeah,
We
I can't
just-
ever
we
pay
sit that
attention,
out.
and those fluorescent lights hurt my eyes.
So how have things changed for you guys now being on a bigger label?
We get to be on Much Music.
Yeah,
You could have been on Much Music before if you
Really?
had shown up to the interview.
We're never late now. We're always
Yeah, there
on
you
time.
go.
We're prompt.
We got watches.
We brought watches. We have tour managers now. We don't get up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Because last time we were here, we were like just us three, you know, driving around. We get up whenever we wanted. Hey, man, that's a pretty long drive to Toronto. We better get going. Like, yeah, shut up. And then we're like, show up as if we're ready to go on.
Okay, now you recorded your album with Butch Vig. Now, why did you choose him for the producer?
Because we'd worked with him before, about a year ago. We attempted to record our album with him. It turned out really well, but we were in the middle of doing the Sub Pop negotiations, trying to get out of that contract on DGC, so it just seemed like the best thing to do, you know, to work with someone that's familiar with us still.
You had done demos with a few other people, though, as well, hadn't you?
We did the demos. That's what he's talking about with
those
Butch.
are the demos. That was an album.
No, but I thought there was other producers you guys had did a few demos.
We worked with Jack and Dino. That's about it. Nobody
we talked
else.
to other producers, but we never did any demos with them.
Yeah.
So.
And was there stuff you'd heard by Butch before you'd worked with him that kind of decided it, or?
Yeah, it sounded really good. There was like Laughing Hyenas and Killdozer. Pretty crunchy, meaty stuff. And we thought, yeah, we'll try this guy out. So we did the demos, and then nothing came out of that. So we called him again, and he flew down to L.A., and we all flew to L.A. And we drove to L.A. Well, we drove to L.A., and he flew. And we made this record. It took us about a month, and Butch is really hands-on as a producer and engineer. You know, he's just totally in it all the way. So he's so easygoing and stuff, too.
Now, the first one was recorded. The first one was recorded fairly quickly. Now, were there certain things you set out to do differently this time around, or?
It was just an entirely different set of circumstances this time around. You know, entirely different set of circumstances. What did we set out to do different?
It just was a different studio.
Yeah.
And different producer and
you know what we did?
different
Different state. We just did that whole major label go to Hollywood and record a record thing, but we didn't get stuck with some goofball producer. We got the producer we wanted, you know, and we don't really have any regrets about how it turned out. We think it turned out great and what we did, but I think next time around we're gonna choose a different path because it's such a well-worn path. We're gonna trot off the beaten track.
What's the different path?
Different path. Religion. No, we're going to record in a church. No, a different path. I don't know. I think we might record the next record as we go along, right? We might record it on a boom box. We might record the record like in an airplane bathroom because of the dynamic acoustics. Just depends, you know. We did our go to Hollywood, just like I said. We did that go to Hollywood trip. Maybe we'll record in somewhere else, maybe some natural. Oh, we're recording some Greek theater somewhere in Greece, like the Acropolis or something. Whoa.
Okay, now the first one was done more or less as a live thing.
Yeah.
So this time around, was it consciously like a studio effort and away from the live sound?
No, I don't think the first album was live. I mean, we recorded it in a studio. You know, we did overdubs.
We did like basic tracks.
We did. We overdubbed all guitar and vocals and everything.
Oh, I thought it was done pretty much.
No.
One shot.
It was done in like 4 days, or I don't even forget how many days. Under a week, 3, 4, 5 days, something like that. $600. You know what? When we were mixing it, we were really sick, and Kurt went down to the health department, and he got these codeine cough syrups, and we were just popping those, and we were just like in la la land. And then we were like hands-on producers, just cooking on this codeine joy juice. And I think it had a big effect on how that record turned out. That's the honest truth.
Okay, now with the cover of the new record, is there a certain concept you guys are trying to put across with the cover?
It's open for interpretation. You know, think about a baby swimming through water, dollar bill on a hook. You know, that's the fun part of it. Decipher. Maybe a person could find a new way of life. So we were speaking of paths. They can take off their clothes and bite into a fish hook in water. See how that feels.
Well, I sort of thought it related to the band, though. This is sort of your first jump in the water towards the huge bucks and all that.
Right on. Now, see, okay, well, I never thought of that. Well, there you go. That works too. See, it's open for interpretation.
And that's the whole idea? You guys don't like explaining anything to do with your music or to do with what you're doing.
Just like Ricky Ricardo said, "Splain, Lucy, splain." Lucy never did. Ricky.
Now why don't you like talking about it though? What's the problem with going on camera and just relating a little story to do with it?
There's nothing to be said. It's all in the music, man. It's all in the music. It's all in the meat.
You don't think that people that are fans of you would like to hear what you had in mind, maybe, or what you were?
I hear what they have in mind, you know, or how they interpret it.
You would. Cool.
Yeah, I'd like to get some letters. This is what my analytical
my
idea is,
personal
what
critique.
your lyrics are about. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, man.
You know what we do is we get all drunk and we get in these heavy philosophical conversations. What we are is we're pothead philosophers with no type of studious background or anything. We just...
Okay, so what's your relationship now with Sub Pop? How are things with them?
Oh, we get along with those guys. I mean, we stop by and say hi. That's about it, really. We're pretty much off the label. We're on DGC. DGC does all the work.
No, there was a Sub Pop logo though on the first single or whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be on the record too. It's a contractual obligation. Basically, that's it.
Okay. Now, there was a little bit of bad blood at first though, wasn't there, when you guys were leaving?
Yeah. It was. I think a lot of that was lack of communication and assumptions. But now we put all that behind us now, and we just get along. Because there's no reason to bear a grudge, right? Forgive and forget, huh, brother?
Now, are you going to come back after a certain period of time and do like a freebie single or anything like Soundgarden did, or
a freebie single? Just like my Uncle Jim said, nothing in this world is free. But I don't know. We'll probably do something like that. It's always fun to release things. Maybe we'll just go and release something. You know, maybe we'll record a record with people on work release. So, see, because if they want to get on work release, you have to have a job guarantee. So they'll get out of jail that way. So we'll just like guarantee them a job, and they'll get out of jail.
Since it's your first interview with us, you got an album up to be released. We cannot not talk about that first major label deal. So tell me if,
So that's a double negative.
No, because I mean, I ask it so many times. I mean, to so many bands that have been on independent labels before and then on major labels before, that it sounds. I'm always wondering if it's redundant in some point. But anyway, I mean, what did
you like the B-52s?
I love them.
Do you like Blondie? Do you like Devo?
Yeah.
Do you like the Cars?
Love them.
Well, okay.
Do you like the Plastic Ono Band live in Toronto?
That was okay. I didn't hear the live album though.
Yeah, that's how we got on the subject of the B-52s.
Oh yeah.
Oh, all those bands are on major labels too.
Yeah, that's it.
And the Ramones, and the Clash, and the Sex Pistols.
The Sex Pistols.
Not to say we're half as good as any of those bands, but pretty much.
No way can we touch a Plastic Ono.
There's our answer for the major label question.
Does it change anything?
Yeah, it gives you more freedom because you have more money to, waste.
Yeah. I bought a kick drum pedal today, which I never would have been able to do.
What do you say about bands like Mudhoney that come from Seattle but don't want to be on a major label?
Well, fine. That's their prerogative,
Each their own. Yeah. Be a better place if we all subscribe to that philosophy, huh?
Yeah, it would be.
Did it change anything from Bleach doing that album? Was there a big change?
Yeah, there was a change the way we went about it. It was a big Hollywood. 2 years between records. Well, change, you mean the way we recorded it or the way our material?
The material.
Oh, yeah. It's 2 years band. Bleach was recorded in December of 1988. And now it is pushing December 1991. So now we even have Nevermind behind us, and we're blazing new, exciting frontiers.
Does it change any... How do you say that?
Sacagawea.
She was Lewis and Clark's guide when they, there were two explorers and they trailblazed. And they went all the way and discovered the West and opened up the West. Sacagawea was their Indian guide.
Okay.
Yeah, Sacagawea.
So what about him?
Well, we were blazing new frontiers, and they were blazing new frontiers. We're the Lewis and Clark and the Sacagawea of modern day rock and roll.
We were going to name the album Sacagawea, but
do
we know how to spell it?
But we, our distribution company, wouldn't go for it.
Yeah.
Why did you entitle it? Why did you entitle the album Nevermind?
I don't know. So I could brush off the question. Forget it. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Any specific things you wanted to talk about on that album? I listened to it just a couple of times since I had it a couple of days ago. I saw the video that Smells of Teen Spirit. Smells like Teen Spirit. Were there things that were more obvious in that album than others? Were there not statements? I hate talking about statements, but especially that first. Sorry, that first song, that first statement, that first video.
What?
Statement is like,
yeah.
Every month I get a bank statement, and I'm usually overdrawn. And
So we're not into making statements.
I don't know. There's can be statements can be made anywhere. You know, there's a lot to be said for subtleties.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
There's a lot to be said for being
Dick also.
yeah.
cryptic.
Yeah, mysterious.
So you can just like
Because we just can't explain ourselves. We don't consciously think about our music, so we can't explain it. Therefore, interviews are worthless. Let's go.
What do you think about interviews?
Right.
pretty
What
good
do I think?
magazine. It's
Did
really
you hear
big.
my reaction when he asked me if I wanted to do one?
Yeah.
I said no. I said heck no.
We were an interview magazine right next to Shonen Knife, and you know who was on the cover? Matt Dillon.
Yeah, well, that's funny because I mean Cameron Crowe's doing but I mean it's funny you talk about Cameron Crowe's doing a movie with Matt Dillon in Seattle, and there are many musicians, Seattle musicians in that movie. Are you part of it at all?
No part whatsoever.
We opted not to delve in the
I saw
movie
Cotton
industry.
Candy, directed by Ron Howard. It was about this rock and roll band. And what was the evil rock and roll band name?
I don't know. Is that the one with Leif Garrett in it?
Oh, that's
Leif
another one.
Garrett?
Leif Garrett. I've seen all these rock and roll movies, and it's always, the star. There's either Leif Garrett in it or.
There's never been a really good documentary on rock and roll
Except for
bands.
Spinal Tap was the only
Except for Spinal
rock
Tap.
movie worth watching.
Oh, and Don't Look Back by Bob Dylan.
That's true.
Have you seen that?
No.
Very, very good.
Oh, it's a good movie. It's old, made
Very
in
good.
1964.
Makes a fool out of Donovan.
It's a rockumentary.
So I mean, were you approached? Were you asked to be part of that movie at all?
Nobody
No.
asked us anything. You know what I mean?
Oh no, they did ask us.
Really?
Yeah, they asked John.
Oh, I said no.
I said no before even asking you guys.
Oh.
That's because I'm the leader of the
You
band.
blew my chance, man. I'm gonna roll into Hollywood. I'm gonna have a star on Hollywood Boulevard, and I'm gonna have a big house with a swimming pool and all these cars, and I'm gonna get divorces and stuff. And I'm gonna have a big drug.
Max Baer, Jethro on TV's Beverly Hillbillies.
Tell me about that. That Seattle thing everybody's been talking about. I mean, there's been that Manchester scene. There's that Seattle scene now. I mean, is it relevant at all?
All scenes are relevant, but they all eventually phase into nothing, or they go away after
Or they
a while.
eventually become a parody of themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
They eventually become
People-
a parody of themselves.
people put too much emphasis on scenes. I mean, just because there happens to be a town with a few really good bands in it, I mean, big deal. It's happened all over the place, in Minneapolis and L.A. and New York, all over the place. So it's really no big deal. I don't understand this community patriotism that everyone is boasting about in Seattle, because they're claiming that they finally put Seattle on the map. But what map?
Now the
Who
rents
cares?
are going up.
Yeah, everyone's moving to Seattle. I mean, we had Jimi Hendrix. Heck, what more do we want?
We went to his grave once, and there was a guitar picks and beer bottles all over it. Then we went to Bruce Lee's grave at 1:30 in the morning. It's really wild. It was in the Chinese part of the cemetery.
There were punji sticks and nunchucks laying all over the place.
We thought for sure there was these ninjas creeping behind these tombstones. Whoa! But then again, the state of mind we were in at the time would be like,
But
they were Ninja Turtles.
But do you feel that since everybody's been talking about Seattle, did you feel that it helped you in any ways getting that recording contract, or it has nothing to do with it.
It might have, yeah. I suppose it did.
We were in on that.
We're
whole-
grateful for it, I guess. I mean, we were never seeking out a major label contract in the first place. It just happened. I don't know if it would have happened if we weren't on Sub Pop or not, but I don't know. It's just we got a lot of press in Europe because of the Sub Pop scene, and it wasn't necessarily because John and Bruce were these mastermind guys, you know, getting a lot of interviews, like using their talents to get interviews. I mean, they were in ways, but also a lot of the journalists over in Europe happened to like the band, sincerely like them, so they wrote about them. You know, it wasn't as much of a hype as everyone thinks it was.
But I mean, since the album is going to be released in a few weeks, are you doing that tour? I mean, are some parts of that tour being done without those people not knowing about the album? Or are you planning to go back in those cities? Or I mean, didn't you feel that it would have been a good thing to wait until the album was released?
Yeah, it took about a week or two too early. So what can
You've been complaining about that?
Yeah.
But I mean, how many gigs have you got on that tour?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at the itinerary.
Well, the album comes out on the 23rd.
The album comes out next Tuesday.
Today is the 20th.
Yeah.
Just be following it, you know. Kids will be buying it the day, practically the day that we play in every city, you know. Just barely becoming familiar with it. So, it would have been more wise to wait a little while. But
do you feel that radios may help you? Do you feel that the music might fit that mainstream thing everybody's talking about?
I think that people sort of get sucked into the single that we have out now with the melody of the song, and they don't realize it's so heavy because they're singing along to the song or whatever. But if you listen to it in the succession of songs, it's a lot heavier than most of the stuff that's on the radio.
There's other bands like breaking into the like commercial radio and stuff, you know. So we're not just kind of following in, you know.
The new wave gets thrown into the mainstream, and they try it again.
Tell me about that Teen Spirit song, since it's the first single. I just watched the video. We received it yesterday. I loved it, but tell me did you have anything to do in elaborating it, doing it?
We thought of the whole idea. It was just our idea was to have a pep assembly scene that's gone bad, you know. That's gone bad.
Anything you've experienced before?
No, it was just more or less like a fantasy of ours for that to happen in high school while we're sitting at a pep assembly board off our skulls, you know. So after a while we resorted to skipping the pep assemblies, not going to them at all. But I don't know, it's just an idea. We use the youth theme, you know.
I mean, how do you feel about youth since you talk about it in the song?
Well, Sonic Youth's a great band.
Welcome back to the Headbangers Ball. Ricky Rackman here. Now, I don't know that much about how the industry charts and stuff like that work, but as far as street buzz goes, I can tell you honestly, I have never heard of a band getting a bigger buzz quicker than this band, and I'm not saying it seriously because they're here. I'd like to welcome Chris and Kurt of the band Nirvana.
Hi, Ricky.
So how's it going? I mean, it's got to be, first of all, love the suit.
Thanks a lot.
Be very comfortable on planes, I think.
On planes, yeah. Well, it's a ball. It's Headbangers Ball, so I thought I'd wear a gown.
Dress for the ball. There you go.
He wouldn't wear his tux. He didn't give me a corsage either.
No. So you hurt his feelings.
At least I asked you out. You know.
This thing has got to be like, I mean, pretty wild. I mean, everywhere you go, in all different types of the music scene, people like really seem to be getting into Nirvana right now.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it pretty overwhelming?
Everybody wants to be hip.
And so that's what it is now.
Everyone wants to be accepted.
That's right. It's like the core of personality and ego is like humans are social creatures. So,
I can't hear.
Everything is covering your ears.
Oh, it's good to look at you. Yeah, and that's the psychological aspect of the band's popularity.
So
maybe they like the record. I don't know.
It could be the music, maybe. I mean, I like the music. I don't know about
you
being hip.
don't understand. It's got to be a very heavy, heartfelt conversation.
Now,
emotions.
How long have you guys been together? I mean, you had an album out before this one.
We've been together since like early '87, and our album came out in first album, Bleach, came out in July of '89.
And that was kind of just a part of an underground scene? Sort of?
Yeah, it was totally underground.
It was the Sub Pop label.
Which is basically a lot of bands from Seattle, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's like Fluid. They're from Denver. And L7. They were
Great
from
band.
LA. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
we're going to be back talking to these guys in a little bit. Also, we're going to be playing their video, Smells Like Teen Spirit, which is very quickly becoming one of the most requested videos here on MTV also. So stick around as the Headbangers Ball continues.
So, Bruce, that guy's a karate expert.
Welcome back to the Headbangers Ball. Chris and Kurt from the band Nirvana are here. And you are a band that is also from Washington, but you're not from the, quote, Seattle area now, right?
No, we live on the I-5 corridor. Kurt lives in Olympia, and I live in Tacoma.
Because if you notice, it's like all these bands lately, with the Alice in Chains and the Soundgarden, you know, everybody's like, oh, the big emerging Seattle rock scene. I mean, when you guys started, were you playing clubs with those bands?
No, we were playing clubs with like Mudhoney and Tad. Fluid. Yeah, and we played a show with Soundgarden in Olympia, like out in this park during the day. It was really neat.
So when you guys started, I mean, like the bands like that you mentioned before, part of the Sub Pop thing,
right.
You guys were kind of an underground, didn't start in the, let's say, quote, rock and roll clubs. You were kind of playing like for the college crowds and the underground scene first, right?
Yeah.
And then it just cross over?
Well, that's where we got our start. Is like we were listening to Black Flag and MDC, and we always were like into punk rock and stuff, and we just kind of fell into this Seattle thing, like all the bands that I mentioned before.
Because the way they're categorizing it, they're calling it, you know, part of this grunge sound, and now they've said, you know, Nirvana is the newest band in this. You know, I hate putting labels on things, but they're saying that you're the newest of the new grunge sound.
Yeah. I'm starting to understand like what grunge is. It's like if you have heavy metal, it's like a lot of it's the same guitar sound. I think grunge has to do with the guitar sound.
It does have
a fine title.
It's
grunge.
Grunge is more organic guitars, like, you know, Mudhoney. They have their crazy sounding guitars, and Tad just totally growly, like a different sound.
Growly.
Growly, yeah.
So
like Tad, he's a big bear, and he just growls. Like, should be in a tour bus with that guy.
Now, we're about to play the video, which also happens to be the #5 Skull Crusher, which is a very good thing. And we'll play that, and then we'll talk about it a little bit later. Would you like to lead into it for us? So Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Skull Crusher #5 also. That was Nirvana with Smells Like Teen Spirit, and Chris and Kurt of Nirvana are here with us on the Headbangers Ball, kicking it on old Jennifer. Now, tell us a little bit about the video. First of all, where do you find cheerleaders with tattoos? That's just
at
my
Anarchy
personal
High
question.
School.
At where?
Anarchy High School.
Anarchy High School.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the deal with that show? I mean, was that like a live performance or?
No, it was a video shoot, and we had a bunch of fans come down, and they just went crazy. And I think they made the video, really. I mean, they were just so into it, and everybody was so cool, and it was a lot of fun to do. It was just crazy. People were jumping around, and you know.
They had a lot of patience. It was like 12 hours of listening to the song over and over and over again.
Yeah, do you like doing videos? I mean, I know that it takes a long time to do and things like that.
It's all right.
Now, is that pretty good example of what it's like seeing Nirvana live as far as the crowd goes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, people just get wild.
Do you see when you go out and play shows, the crowds are getting different? Like you said before, you started with the kind of the underground scene, and now, I mean, all the kids that are into all different types of bands are really getting into Nirvana.
Yeah, we see that we're kind of spreading out and getting more mainstream type people, but in doing that, we hope that we could turn them on to like different types of music, like maybe the underground scene, and there's more bands out there than just like these mainstream giant Harley riding rock bands. You know, that's kind of one of our missions.
Does it turn everybody on and also help, you know, all the other bands that you kind of listen to?
Because they're really good. I mean, the bands they've got something to offer musically. All the bands that I support are are like really real, and they're like got their own thing going, and the bands have like good values too, like political opinions, and it's a neat thing.
We'll talk a little bit about some of those bands and other stuff when we come back, but right now we're going to be playing a band that you've heard me say good things about a lot. They're called Infectious Grooves, and their tour with Ozzy starts November 12th in Austin, Texas, and if you go to some of those shows, I just may be there because I'm going to try to go to as many of those shows as I can. It's a band I dig a real lot. This is Infectious Grooves with Punk It Up. So the Headbangers Ball, Chris and Kurt of Nirvana are here with us in the studio. Now I want to talk a little bit about the new album, which is called Nevermind. Is it new? Has it been out for a while and everybody's just getting into it? Or is it pretty new?
It's been out for about a month now. Yeah.
And what do you think the reason is that everybody's just gotten into Nirvana so quickly? I mean, it's pretty wild.
Because we have our big bandwagon, and we have a bunch of Clydesdale horses, multicolored horses pulling it, and people are just jumping on, and it's kind of like a Ken Kesey acid trip type thing.
That explains
Passing
it,
Kool-Aid around, and we're like the merry pranksters.
Kind of the Jim Jones thing.
Oh, yeah, Kool-Aid, Jim Jones, right.
You got that. Now, about some of the songs, like, my favorite song on the record is Lithium, because I think it, to me, I mean, I like some of the old pop stuff, and it's got like I mean, the whole album, some of the songs sound like early, real hard punk stuff, and some stuff, I mean, almost reminds me of like a heavier Replacements in a way, and that's, I hope you don't take that the wrong way.
No, it's fine.
I mean,
yeah.
What is the kind of stuff that you guys are listening to? I mean, every song has a real kind of different vibe to it.
Well, we listen to music. We like all kinds of stuff. Leadbelly, Bikini Kill, The Breeders, The Pixies, R.E.M., The Melvins.
I've heard of 3 of those bands. Patsy Cline.
Yeah.
The Vaselines.
Public Enemy. I mean, if we think there's substance there, I mean, a band has something to offer, I mean, we'll like get into it.
Like, for instance, what's your favorite song on the record?
I don't know. It's just like I have a lot of favorite bands, you know, but I don't have a favorite song because I kind of just like the band and the record. It's hard to say, and it's, you know, I play on the record, so I couldn't really tell you.
Does the whole band contribute in the writing process?
Well, Kurt will come up with like riffs, and he does the lyrics, you know, and then we'll just like jam on it and spew something out. It's like the Play-Doh Fun Factory, and we just stuff it in, and it comes out into spaghetti or little figures or something.
And you guys are playing out on the road right now?
Yeah, we've been on the road for like a month, and we're playing. We wrap up the American leg of the tour in Seattle with Mudhoney on Halloween, and we've wrapped it up.
So look for these guys, hopefully, to come back to the States soon. And thank you very much for kicking back on the ball with us and finding us about Nirvana, which everybody, like I said, seems to be talking about right now.
American post-hardcore rockers Nirvana have recently emerged from semi-obscurity with their second album, Nevermind, which unexpectedly shot to number 9 in the Billboard Hot 200 album chart in the States after selling 600,000 copies.
We're so far from having any money. I mean, we get per diem, I guess.
Rich, Richard, Dick is short for Richard.
Yeah. So if you're rich, you're a dick.
I'm so happy. Wait, let me start that over. I'm so happy, 'cause today I found my friends here in my head.
Nirvana have previously released an album called Bleach on the Sub Pop label in 1989. The band recently described their own sound as the Knack and the Bay City Rollers being molested by Black Flag and Black Sabbath. Kurt is the songwriter in the band.
Music comes first. Music is number 1. Lyrics are secondary.
You know, My Sharona, what the hell is My Sharona? You know?
But it changed my life.
It did. Boo-doo. My Sharona.
The video for their single Smells Like Teen Spirit was made in their hometown of Seattle.
Well, we work with the director.
We came up with the idea, but we didn't have enough time to to really sit down and edit everything ourselves. So the director took it upon himself to do it himself, and it just didn't quite turn out exactly how we wanted it to, but came close.
I'm so happy, 'cause today I shaved my head. I'm not sad, and just maybe I'm to blame for all I've heard.
They're currently touring Europe, an experience they savor.
Hotel to interview to venue to 1 2 1 2
Sound
1
check.
2 sound check.
Oh, when we were in France last time, we got to see the Eiffel Tower from a distance as we drove by.
Yeah, from about 5 miles. It was like,
There's the Eiffel Tower!
There it is.
Where? But there's a McDonald's!
yeah, there's a McDonald's. Western culture is dominating everything. You know, you can go to the smallest remote region of Africa and walk in a hut and they're watching a television set, you know?
Drinking Coke and wearing Levi's.
Yeah, wearing Levi's. You know what was the funnest tours is when just like 3 members of the band just go around in a van. There's no roadies, there's no tour manager, there's nothing. We just
There's
go.
no records in the stores, there's no interviews.
There's no interviews.
No gas.
There's no. It's total depravity.
Hard rock riff in a punk and underground attitude. Still, there is something more on your last record. Could you explain what is that?
I think you pretty much said it all, really.
Oh, the choppers.
We all know Nirvana is a sort of spiritual enlightenment by which you can get peace, happiness. How can all that coexist with the aggressive and metallic sound of your music?
I wouldn't call it metallic.
Well, it could be aggressive. I mean, as long as you're let go, you can just let go and enjoy it without distraction. Then you're having fun and getting the point of the music.
Yeah. How important has been the Sub Pop experience in Seattle, together with bands like Madonna and Soundgarden? Do you think that's a sort of starting point for a new rock scene?
Yes. Love that rock scene in Seattle. It's fine.
That's a new starting point for the next decade coming.
I think it's started a lot for this decade. I mean, if it wasn't for that whole scene, then maybe we wouldn't have become so popular, or maybe the music in general wouldn't have become so accepted by people, the masses.
The video you shot from Smells Like Teen Spirit is one of the best ones we ever seen. There is a sort of crescendo shared both by the audience and the band itself. Can you talk about its making?
Oh, it was a day's shooting of the video. It took about 12 hours. We invited 200 of our friends down to the studio, and they sat in bleachers, and we had a good time. But there was a lot of smoke, this artificial smoke machine, and it got black stuff in our noses, and we were picking black stuff out of our noses at night.
There's a lot of black stuff. But I think that the people who came down and did the videos, they made the video what it is.
If it wasn't for all of our friends who pretty much destroyed the studio that we did it in, it wouldn't have been half as exciting. So
we give them credit for the video.
On the cover of the Nevermind album, we can see a newborn baby swimming underwater trying to catch one buck. Is that related to the upbringing, the educational system we undergo?
Everybody's grown to value the dollar bill, and it sort of symbolizes success, capitalism.
Like that baby isn't a person, it's a consumer. You know, and that's what they all say. Consumers are spending less this holidays, you know?
Not humans, they're consumers.
That's an ugly word. Consumer. Consume.
Most of the lyrics of your song are against the wrongs of the Western world society. People keep on saying, never mind, you don't. What are the things that make your anger explode?
Gluttony.
Materialism.
Wealth.
That's, your gig. It's only entertainment or is something more?
It's escapism from a 9-to-5 job.
Basically, it is entertainment, and if you can find anything out of it, I mean, that's just your personal thing, you know. A lot of people come here just to bounce off other people, but a majority of people come here to enjoy the music, you know. It just depends what you're here for.
Yeah.
How would you define the music of Nirvana?
With a twist of lemon.
In Teen Spirit, you seem to complain about the apathy of our generation. Is that right?
Whatever you want to make out of it. It's up to you.
And do you share
It's your crossword puzzle.
And do you share this lack of engagement yourself?
What, being apathetic?
Yeah.
Sure.
Why?
What? Because we sleep too much. Punk rock should mean freedom, liking and accepting anything that you like, playing whatever you want, as sloppy as you want, as long as it's good and it has passion.
I'm so lonely, that's okay. Shake my head, and I'm not sad. And just maybe I'm to blame for all I've heard. I'm not sure, I'm so excited.
How many guitars have you destroyed since your first concert?
I don't think that has anything to do with the music.
And that isn't necessarily violence either.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's pure fun.
What did you get by smashing guitars on the scene?
Satisfaction, climax. What?
Don't have to do encores.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good excuse if you have to do an encore.
And how do you see Nirvana in 10 years?
I see us on stage playing dorky clothes and just totally wrinkled and just like trying to relive our past and trying to remind people of the good old days, how things used to be, you know, cruising in your car, or, you know, smoking pot and listening to music. Hey, those were the times, you know. It's called Children of the Revolution, 20 of your greatest hits by Nirvana, Floyd the Barber, Smells Like Teen Spirit. And in the future we'll have songs like Accept Me, General Public, because I need the cash, or that one notable one, Hey Baby Baby, Pay for My Limousine.
I dropped out of high school.
Yeah, we're all dropouts.
Yeah, is that so?
Yeah. Kurt's a middle child. That's why he's so maladjusted. Because, see, I'm the oldest.
And we all come from divorced families.
He's the baby.
Is that so?
I got a lot of my ideas from listening to like early punk rock and reading fanzines and just gathering literature, just like underground literature, and talking to people of like different persuasions, and talking to people who were just dwelled in one issue, like just talking to somebody who's like totally into animal rights, or talking to somebody from the Socialist Worker Party, you know?
So how does it feel now to have penetrated with your group into the commercial system with your record? You know, in a way you've made a big penetration there with having your own record in the American top 10.
I haven't really come to grips with it yet. We've been in Europe ever since everything's happened.
We haven't been back to America since this whole thing's blown up.
Yeah.
So we really don't know how insane it is there yet.
The tour was booked months ago, so we're playing small halls where we would have played before any of this would have happened. So we can't really tell what's changed, but
if anything, it sort of gives me a little faith in you know, the consumer. You know, I mean, it just, hopefully, so many more people are receiving our record. Maybe they'll get something out of it, and this will be the first time they've been exposed to anything different, you know.
they'll hear our band, and then, you know, they'll say, wow, I really like where these guys are coming from, and we'll say, you know, we like bands like Sonic Youth or Dinosaur Jr. or L7 or Hole, or the whole underground scene where we come from is just so right on, and maybe that's the way we justify why we've pursued.
Excited, because it's one of our favorite television shows whenever we come into the UK.
It's part of the jet lag ordeal.
Yeah, it always seems to be on the night that we get into town.
And you can't sleep, and it's pretty much the only thing worth watching. So.
And, you know, we're like watching international snooker.
It's better than snooker.
And then Rapido comes on, and we jump up and down. Yeah, Rapido, Rapido.
Polly says her back hurts. She's just as bored as me. She called me off my guard. Amazes me the will of instinct. Isn't me, haven't seen.
Well, the most common word that comes up in every definition that I've read has been freedom. So we kind of like to think of our music as musical freedom in a way, not being tied to a specific genre or a specific sound. Most of the lyrics are just like contradictions, and I'll write a few sincere lines and then I'll have to make fun of it with another line, you know, like a rebuttal or something. It's just, I don't like to make things too obvious, because if it is too obvious, it gets really stale. Things just shouldn't be in people's faces 100% all the time. We don't mean to be really cryptic or, you know, mysterious, but I just think that lyrics that are different and kind of weird and spacey paint a nice picture, you know. It's just the way I like art.
This one goes out to the one I love. This one goes out to the one I've left behind.
I think every band that's kind of
It just goes down the line.
cracked a little bit, cracked the door open.
Whether it's
Sonic Youth.
Yeah, Sonic Youth.
Jane's Addiction. They did it.
I've always thought of REM as a commercial band in the first place. They just happen to be a good, passionate commercial band. And there have always been good, passionate bands in rock and roll throughout the history. It's up to fans and people involved in the music industry to make sure that it doesn't get as stale and as bad as it has within the last 10 years.
I'm not scared, light my candles in the days, 'cause I found God. Yeah, 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 yeah.
What we want to do is like spread the gospel. Now we want to take advantage of that, you know, we're getting so much attention right now because of like our chart position or whatever. We want to expose these bands to people, say that this is like very valid music. It's the only music that's happening right now, rock-wise. And you know, check them out because there's a lot there.
Right then. The first thing I heard that you were surprised when you heard that Rapido wanted to speak to you. Is that true?
Surprised?
Yeah.
Excited, because it's one of our favorite television shows whenever we come into the UK.
That's good to hear.
It's part of the jet lag ordeal.
Yeah, it always seems to be on the night that we get into town.
And you can't sleep, and it's pretty much the only thing worth watching. So.
And you know, we're like watching international snooker.
It's better than snooker.
And then Rapido comes on, and we jump up and down. Yeah, Rapido, Rapido.
Is there anything like that that could compare in America that talks about music?
Ed Sullivan Show, American Bandstand, MTV.
There's nothing that has the variety of Rapido and the quality.
Right. So things. First reason why I wanted to film you in a hotel room is that because that's your home for most of the year. Well, a lot of the time, this is your home, yeah. That's the reason why I wanted to be here, really.
Well then, I think I'll just hold the pillow and go to sleep.
Good night.
Good night.
Now the thing's going. Yeah, things going real quick, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the record's only been out for what, 2 months or something?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know. It's just a blur.
I think it's been about 3 months now.
Has it really?
September 24th.
Yeah, that's right.
October, November.
2 months.
Just 2 months.
Oh well.
Your perception of time and reality is obviously distorted.
Because it is, I mean, an album to go, not a first album, an album to go, you know, in the Billboard chart, in the top chart, and number 4. That's real quick. That's as quick as you can get, isn't it?
I've never paid attention to charts before.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, the numbers, it's just a bunch of statistics, really.
I want to have my chart done, astrological chart, so we can, like our next release or like my personal life, I'll go, like my chart says, you know, I'm in Taurus and, you know, Saturn is in Sagittarius. And lucky and blue diamonds and green clovers.
Orange stars.
Orange stars.
And blue diamonds.
And blue diamonds.
But I'm sure even if you don't look at the numbers, somebody else is looking for you at the numbers. And I'm sure, like, I mean, here everybody, Rapido talks to you, a lot of people talking to you, want to talk to you. When you're going to go back in America, it's going to do the same, you know. Like a number 4 album is a very big album. And then people are going to want to have your opinion about everything. It's already happening.
Yeah, we have our opinions. We're a bunch of opinionated jerks. Let me tell you something.
Jerky?
Jerky. That's
Is it
right.
difficult to have an opinion about everything when you ask?
It's difficult to have an opinion about everything because I don't know anything about anything. Well, I mean, you give your opinion to somebody, and it's just your opinion. I mean, it's not gospel or anything. All opinions are open to dialogue and forum.
So you call that pressure already? Well, you know, being shot up, shooting up at the top like that.
Pressure?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
We don't really pay enough attention to
I mean, it's not like any... we don't feel responsible to go out and try twice as hard, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it happened. We've been doing what we're doing. And if it goes up to number -12 on the chart, then
past number
whatever,
one.
past number 1 to -12. It's no big deal, really.
Okay, you're bored about this the conversation about exposure and pressure and...
No, I'm sick. I'm sick.
Well, you called the English flu or something.
Touch me, I'm thick.
You can fry a head egg on that
You
forehead.
fry a head on that egg.
That's right.
You ain't got a forehead, you got an 8 head.
Magic 8-ball head. We'll just turn it up and down. And, that's how we plan our destiny, was with that magic 8-ball. You know, you turn it around. It says, try again.
Comes out and it says, yes.
Yes.
Yes. No.
And
Go
do you think,
die.
Do you think when you're going to go back to the States, when are you going to go back to America?
About 2 weeks.
December 15th.
Uh-huh.
And then we go on tour for another 5 days, and then we have a month off, and we go to Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii, Japan. Hawaii. Southeast Asia. And then we're home for a little while.
It's crazy because like in France, you know, like nobody was, for example, where the program comes from, where I come from, nobody was really talking about you before, and then suddenly it's like, album of the year, you know, like, get it on TV, you know, it's like, all the magazines want a piece of the action. It just, that's what I'm saying, I asked the first question, it goes really quick.
It's very bandwagon-esque. If I may plug another band that I totally love.
When you played European countries, and I don't know if you talk to people, but if you watch their reactions or whatever, what has been the main difference between your American crowd and the European crowd?
Probably the diets that the people...
I don't know. I've sort of found that the language is sort of different.
I mean, it's all this. People have the same reactions. You know what I mean? I guess we all came from a common ancestor, like
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve, right? Creationist, Adam and Eve, evolutionist, humanoid type creatures came out of Africa and populated the earth and adapted to their climates. But I think there's a million similarities and there are dissimilarities, and I think people's reaction to music is a very big similarity, whether it be on the continent, be it the UK or be in U.S. In the West, you know, if you go to the East or if you go to like Cambodia or something, they wouldn't know what to think of you because they really haven't been exposed. But in the West, rock and roll has been a major cultural thing for the last 30 years, so it's pretty much the same reaction.
Is it also because your music seems to be based on instinct, and then people can share that?
Yeah,
Sure.
It wouldn't matter if we were speaking in tongues.
Yeah, right.
It's a universal language.
It's a universal language, and those are like worn out cliches. You know, rock and roll is a universal language, brothers. You know, but to some extent that's true. I mean, people just, you get a lot of people in the same room. You get good groove happening, and people really react. It's a great thing.
I mean, it's something else. I don't know. Again, you tell me in America, but in England or in France, it's like quite recently that it's kind of cool to like rock again. A lot of people kind of walked out of rock for a long time.
Boy, and they wore black clothes, and you know, it just, if that's the case, I mean, music isn't a fashion accessory. Just a lot of people it is, I know, but to us it isn't. You know, I'm into industrial dance now. You know, so what they do, they go to the pawn shop and sell all their CDs, not records, but CDs, because records are out.
Maybe it's also because guys like you maybe like give quite a good name to rock.
If rock and roll deserves a good name, it does. It does.
And I think, probably
Bon Jovi gives love a bad name.
God gave rock and roll to you.
God gave rock and roll to you, and you've got a gift. It's called rock and roll. Rock and roll's paid for a lot of facelifts and hair transplants.
There's one thing that I've learned about rock and roll by being in this business for 5 or 6 years would be to use your illusion.
1 and 2. It depends what illusion it is. Life is full of illusions. And here's my lovely wife. It's magic.
It's magic.
And I mean, rock and roll is good. I have to admit it. It's got me through some rough times. It's got to start humming.
Ever given me is a hearing impairment.
Did you hear the story that your wife, Shelley, said today about her
About
cousin?
the girl? That little girl. The girl. She's the total typical girl.
What's that
typical girl?
It's great. This 13-year-old cousin of Shelley's had for the past couple of years has had her walls covered in New Kids on the Block posters, and she heard our album, and she had dolls and everything, and she heard our album Nevermind, and she tore all her posters down and burnt her dolls.
Yeah.
Really?
You should know
Set them on
Stacy.
fire.
Stacy's like a little brat, like, now it's like, I hate New Kids on the Block. And she's a terror.
Man.
She's a terror.
She's smoking cigarettes. She's got a tattoo.
Yeah, that's right. She just takes the car now. She's not even old enough to drive. She's just zipping
Cranking
up
our
and
music
down.
as loud as she can. Driving up and down, drunk, hurting people.
This cop pulled her over. She just went, smacked, knocked him out.
13.
She's only 13. That's right.
Is Nevermind the attitude of a lot of people in the US to start with?
Sure.
I'm talking about the word here, like...
Yeah, it is. It's too bad. It's too bad that's the way. But see, people, they have to...
Use their
they
illusion.
make priorities, and a lot of times a priority is a car in your driveway, or whatever material objects you have, and it's all a bunch of junk.
Trinkets and baubles.
Trinkets, yeah. Look at this shiny stone, Why is this any more?
That's a Ming Voss to me.
I know. This could be. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor should wear that on her finger. I mean, what's the difference? Can I have a drag?
Yeah.
Without making any like sweeping statement or generalization, the people of your age, you've seen them changing, because I don't know the youth of America. I don't know what's
Kids are a
happening in
lot
their head.
smarter.
It's a good
now.
record.
Kids are a lot smarter. I'm totally convinced. The average
A lot
18-year-old
smarter?
is a lot smarter than they were when I was an 18-year-old.
You think so?
I'm convinced.
In what
I
way?
sort of wonder.
What kind of smartness?
They're just more aware. They're more jaded and cynical. They're more aware of injustice. They've learned from their parents' mistakes.
American youth have had it all on a silver platter. They've been eating ice cream out of a bowl this big.
But now that
and then what is
filled
it?
with
But
crack.
now there's no such thing as Farrell's ice cream
Farrell's
parlors.
is gone.
Because now Farrell's is a crack
Shakey's.
house.
Dippy waiters and waitresses singing you happy birthday off key.
You ever had one of those zoos? A zoo?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever have a zoo? It was like 32 different kinds of ice cream, or 16 or something like that.
Oh, I thought of another idea for the video. Sea monkeys. floating around in the video. Wouldn't that be neat?
That's a funny one because, you know, when you talk about cynicism, I mean, this side of the water, being a cynic is not particularly a good thing. I mean, it's the opposite.
No, it's not, but it's a fine defense mechanism. And that doesn't necessarily mean that people are avoiding necessary topics and things that really matter. It just means that they're aware of things.
How many times do the people have to learn the same lesson? You know?
Well, not everything should be common sense anyway.
Right. Instead of reactionaryism, nationalism. So that stuff's like easy.
There's one band I want to talk about. Do you think a band like R.E.M. opened up the doors, the commercial doors, for a band like you to come in and have a commercial success?
A little bit. I think every band that's kind of...
It just goes down the line.
Cracked it a little bit. Cracked the door open.
Whether it's
Sonic Youth.
Yeah, Sonic Youth.
Jane's Addiction. They did it.
I've always thought of R.E.M. as a commercial band in the first place. They just happen to be a good, passionate commercial band. And there have always been good, passionate bands in rock and roll throughout the history. It's just, it's up to fans and people involved in the music industry to make sure that it doesn't get as stale and as bad as it has within the last 10 years. Especially in the Reagan era.
Yeah.
Did I roll that too tight?
Sorry.
Looks like it.
I think I did.
No,
Yeah,
because I
it's
mean,
too
you know,
tight.
like from the, don't know if the word is right, but from the traditional band, the affiliation of band that you're coming up with, you talk about, you know, the youth, the Husker-Dus, people like that. You're the first one to put the door open.
Yeah. It seems like the mainstream is very consistent. Consistent in like blandness. Being bland, like bland, boring TV shows, bland, boring bands, bland, boring blockbuster movies. It's all very consistent.
When it comes to like mainstream and commercialism, it's sort of like no one's willing to take a chance because it's a risk of money. You know, that's why you've had the same bunch of crap on MTV for the past 6 years or whatever.
That's
you know?
right.
I mean, it just comes down to money, and people aren't willing. You know, it's not a feasible business move. You know,
it's a vicious circle. Is actually these people who are trying to make money is they play it really safe and they take like a demographic survey. So they survey all these the papal hierarchy in the Vatican. I mean, they survey all these people and say like, what do you like? What do you want to see? And they've been fed garbage, so that's all they know. And they say, we want more garbage. So they give them the garbage. They survey them again, and it's all this garbage. Next thing you know, you have this full landfill full of diapers and styrofoam. And that's mainstream culture. Is a soiled pamper diaper in a Big Mac container.
If you're talking of Hollywood, for example, you know, like because it costs so much money to make a movie, and it's a risk. Like you're talking about commercial risk. What they do now, and they've been doing for quite a few years, is they buy successful French movies of the 50s and the 40s. They were blockbusters because they were well written.
Do they colorize them?
And then they reshoot them, like Freeman and the Baby, and that kind of, you know. But that's just the beginning. They're going out there and buying, like.
Oh yeah, that's exactly why there are so many new popular bands doing covers of songs even 5 years ago. You know, like this one band that we played with on Top of the Pops last night. We're doing a cover of a Christopher Cross song. Yikes!
Yikey!
You know,
crikey! Yeah.
What a chuff!
Yoinks! What a chuff! Yeah. It's. I mean, how many times do you have to see the same I Love Lucy plot on a sitcom? You know what I mean? But there's good stuff out there. I mean, The Simpsons. I mean, that's like a great.
And so we decided to start a band, and initially the band was just a Creedence Clearwater cover band to play in bars and hopefully make enough money to where we could buy some art supplies. But people caught on. These rednecks in our hometown started taking off their big 10-gallon hats and going, woohoo, you guys are great. And all of a sudden we decided, well, maybe we can make some more money at this. To heck with art. Because music isn't art.
They had a peculiarity. Instead of clapping, they'd grab their suspenders and flip them. It was really wild. Well, we're number whatever in the charts.
It helped that distribution, you know, they got out and did a good job at distributing.
Yeah, DGC is a great company. They really know how to promote us, and I see our records everywhere, in every store we go into. It's really nice to know. People can buy it anytime.
That's basically what we wanted. We just wanted people to have a chance to buy our record. We didn't know that so many people would buy it.
We weren't prepared for it, and it's never been a main goal of ours. You know, we really don't care about anything like that. We just want to put out a good record, and hopefully the people who liked our first album would like this one also. And I mean, of course we want to make a comfortable living at it, to at least be able to eat, you know, and travel on tour. But as far as like getting in the top 10, we don't care at all. We know it won't happen, you know, it won't last for very long, so I don't know.
Like, you know, hopefully we just want that like where we come from, like the underground or the alternative scene, people, if they buy our record and they like it, they'll try to find out where we came from, and they'll discover bands like Sonic Youth and Melvins and Dinosaur Jr., and I can just go on and on, Mudhoney, blah 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 blah, and
Shonen Knife,
Captain America, just kind of change things, kind of kick out the old guard and bring some freshness back in music. I don't know if the mainstream deserves it, but mankind might be redeemable, so. But the underground's always been there.
Yeah, it's always been available to the public. It's just that there haven't been very many opportunities for bands who are aware of underground music to promote it, you know, in a mainstream sense. It doesn't happen very often, so people forget after a few years, like, you know, the Sex Pistols were in the top 10 years ago.
Clash.
The Clash, the Ramones, Blondie. It's always been there.
Plus, it was just a good friend of ours who did the strings.
Yeah,
it wasn't like some hired studio musician.
Yeah, it wasn't. In fact, we knew we wanted a cello on one song, but we kind of forgot about it until the last day. There was only like one more day to do it, and we were at a party, and we decided to ask our friends if they knew anyone who played cello, and just so happens one of our good friends played, so we brought him in the next day, and he did it. There are a lot of people in the town, and usually when there's a large city, there are a lot of bands. I don't know why they're all good. But those bands that you just mentioned, Tad, Mudhoney, and Soundgarden, are pretty much the only bands from Seattle I personally have liked. The rest of them I don't really care for that much, so I think there are at least a handful of good bands in every city. We grew up on industry rock while we were young, you know, like Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and stuff like that. And earlier on, we were into the Beatles. But I think the style of music that most affected us while we were teenagers was punk rock. It pretty much changed our lives. It made us realize that you don't have to be a good musician. You just have to appreciate music and understand passion. You just want to have a good time.
Punk rock to a child with adrenaline problems is like a dream come true.
How have we defined our music? Rock and roll, punk rock, music.
Hard rock. Hard pop rock. Hard pop rocks popping on your tongue. Crickling and crackling.
Maybe R.E.M.
Yeah, R.E.M.'s great.
It just seems that, you know, a lot of the mainstream commercial bands are just, you know, they're just mega money machines, and they're not willing to do anything different because
it's not challenging musically,
and it's not financially feasible, you know.
A lot of the rock bands are just like Aerosmith, Hanoi Rocks, rehashes, you know, to the point where all the singers look the same, guitar players have the same moves, the same sound. It's a commodity is all it is.
You don't really have control over it, though, in certain areas. I mean, if people are going to write about you, really, you can't do anything about it. All you can do is refuse to do interviews. I mean, you're still going to get your pictures taken, and, you know, they're going to write about you if they want to or not. So, in that sense, there's nothing you can do about it. But I don't think that if you have the same values that we do, there's any threat of us, like, being sucked into the way of thinking that most corporate labels do. You know, we're not going to just worry about our career in the business sense of it at all. It doesn't matter. It never has, so there's no reason for us to change now. Everyone that we work with well. You know, they understand us, so there's no threat of that, I don't think. I think that mentality has been pretty much exhausted by this time. I mean, we have been proven by our fans that they still like us. I mean, we've sold out all the shows on this tour, and there's still a lot of people who were into our earlier album are into it now. So, you know, I don't think it really matters anymore. And bands like Sonic Youth and us and Dinosaur Jr. and a lot of other bands like the Pixies, you know, have proven that you can be on a major and still do what you want. It's just a new thing, so it'll take a while for people to realize it.